Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Their Excellencies, the Right Honourable Dame Patsy Reddy, Governor-General of New Zealand, and Sir David Gascoigne.
He mauri ora. Te hono re hareruia ki a ihoa o ngā mana. Tu auri uri, pā io ki tonu te rangi me te whenui tau korori anu. Matua, tama, wai ua tapu me ngānera puna me te māngai hei tau toko mai. Ai nei, ake nei, ai.
Thank you, everybody. Please take a seat. I ngā mana, i ngā reo, i ngā iwi o ngā hoe whā, tēnei aku mihi mahana ki a koutou. Nau mai, haere mai, rā ki te whare kawana. Kia ora tātou katoa. I specifically acknowledge our kuia Rānui Ngārimu, our kaumātua Joe Harawera, tēnā kōrua. And I offer a very special welcome to today's honour recipients. It's a real pleasure to host this investiture ceremony and bring together 13 honours recipients along with their family and friends to recognise the contributions they've made to our country. As Governor-General, I have the authority and the privilege on behalf of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of New Zealand, to hold investitures for her and to confer royal honours, our nation's highest honours, on individuals who've made exceptional contributions to their communities and our nation. Hosting an investiture ceremony is one of the most important duties I perform as Governor-General, as it enables me to recognise and thank them on behalf of all New Zealanders for helping to make Aotearoa New Zealand a better place to live. Some recipients have a national public profile, others are well known in their own communities. But what they have in common is the positive impact they have had on the economic, cultural, social, or environmental well-being of our nation. Catriona McLeod will now read citations for each recipient and invite them to come forward to receive their insignia. As each recipient comes forward, I invite you all to join me in thanking and congratulating them for their service to our country.
Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a Queen's Service Order, Ms. Helene Quilter of Wellington for services to the state. Helene Quilter was appointed Secretary of Defence and Chief Executive of the Ministry of Defence in 2012. Prior to this, she was Deputy Commissioner at the State Services Commission. She produced the Ministry of Social Development's first 5-year strategic plan and implemented new reporting systems to facilitate more effective governance and risk assessment. She led the central agency team responsible for overseeing the implementation of the Defence White Paper 2010 and worked with the justice sector on the Better Public Services Justice Sector Results Action Plan. As Secretary of Defence, she led the Defence White Paper and Capability Plan 2016 and the Strategic Defence Policy Statement 2018. Ms. Quilter has, with the Chief of Defence Force, led comprehensive reform of the Defence Capability Management System. Ms. Helene Quilter, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of an Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Dr. Gary Fordson of Fielding for services to oncology. Dr. Gary Fordson is Specialist Medical Oncologist at Palmerston North Hospital. He led the expansion and consolidation into a complete cancer treatment provider of the current Regional Cancer Treatment Service, linking the hospitals of Palmerston North, Gisborne, Hastings, Taranaki and Ponganui. He's President of the Cancer Society of New Zealand Central Districts Division and a member of the National Board of the Cancer Society. He is Chair of the Palmerston North Hospital Radiotherapy and Oncology Trust. He's been a member, Vice President and President of the Cancer Society Manawatu Centre Executive. Dr. Fordson has held Crown appointments as Chair of the Cancer Treatment Advisory Group and a member of the Cancer Programme Steering Group, the Cancer Control Implementation Task Force, and the Cancer Control Council. Dr. Gary Fordson, please come forward. Mr. Tony Wilding of Tirau for services to the dairy industry and the community. Mr. Tony Wilding is a dairy farmer in Rotorua. He was a director of New Zealand Dairy Group, the New Zealand Dairy Board and the Dairy Research Institute. He played a key role in establishing Fonterra. He is chair of the Federated Farmers Share Milker Farm Owners Group. He chaired the Agricultural Industry Training Organization and has mentored young people in the dairy sector and promoted agricultural education. He was the first community landowner co-chair of the Manga Tautare Ecological Island Trust at the time when the trust's governance model changed to a co-governance structure with Mana Whenua. Mr. Wilding is a trustee and former chair of Leukemia and Blood Cancer New Zealand and has been involved with the Pollen Community Trust Hospital, the Okorore School and the Tirau Golf Club. Mr. Tony Wilding, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mr. David Carrera of Dunedin for services to mountaineering and outdoor recreation. Mr. David Carrera has been part of the Canterbury Mountaineering Club since 1965, including time as Secretary and Treasurer. As leader of Scott Base, he was responsible for the safety of New Zealand's Antarctica program. He was a coroner for North Canterbury and Otago Southland for 37 years, helping to institute mountaineering management and safety reforms. He was Vice Chair of the Mountain Safety Council, Chair of the Antarctic Heritage Trust, and President of the Lions Club of Rangiora. Mr. Carrera is a member of the Rangiora Tramping Club, Chair of the Otago Scout Endowment Trust, Secretary of the Lions Club of Otago Peninsula, and a trustee of the Knox Foundation. Mr. David Carrera, please come forward. Mr. Billy Graham of Lower Hutt for services to youth and the community. Billy Graham founded the Nainai Youth Charitable Trust in 2006, through which he opened the Nainai Boxing Academy to provide a positive outlet and strategies for at-risk and disadvantaged young men in the community. He has since established the Billy Graham Youth Foundation and several other boxing academies around the country, and has begun training young women, many from vulnerable backgrounds. Having been patron of the New Zealand Police Recruit Wing 269 in 2011, Mr. Graham has developed the relationship between his boxing academies and the New Zealand Police. The Billy Graham Youth Foundation was the second organisation in New Zealand to be awarded the White Ribbon Business Accreditation. Mr. Billy Graham, please come forward. Dr. Sarah Lieberman of Palmerston North for services to women, sport and tertiary education. Dr. Sarah Lieberman is a professor of leadership at Massey University, having previously been a recreation officer, head of School of Management, deputy pro-vice chancellor for Massey Business School, and dean academic for Massey University. She co-developed the university's sector-wide New Zealand Women in Leadership program, chaired the steering group, and is an advisor. She co-founded and co-chairs Women in Sport Aotearoa. She helped develop the government strategy to increase leadership, participation, value, and visibility of women and girls in sport. She managed the Junior Black Sticks Women and was stand-in manager for the Black Sticks Women. Dr. Lieberman coaches at Taekwondo Manawatu and has served on sporting organisation boards. Dr. Sarah Lieberman, please come forward. Dr. Don Mackay of Maungaturoto for services to seniors and the community. Mr. Don Mackay was chairman for 30 years of Maungaturoto Community Charitable Trust Incorporated, MCCT, which provides aged care support and remains a board member. Under his leadership, the MCCT has established a 14-bed rest home, 14 low-priced rental units, 14 further discounted housing units, and numerous low-cost rooms for health professionals. He's been a key driver of the establishment of a 14-bed dementia facility. He has served as a member of a Northland Beef Advisory Group and was chairman of the New Zealand Beef Council. Mr. Mackay has been a keen supporter of a local recreation farm and has volunteered for his local Lions Club in Northland. Mr. Don Mackay, please come forward. Mrs. Mary Thompson of Rotorua for services to Netball administration. Mary Thompson has been secretary of Netball Rotorua for more than 30 years. She has been the convener of the Kurangai Tuku tournament, one of the largest recreational netball tournaments in New Zealand. She was chairperson of the Bay of Plenty Netball Board. She has worked with the District Council and Sports Bay of Plenty on projects such as court upgrades. She was manager of the Waikato Bay of Plenty Magic netball team and is event coordinator for the Magic's home netball games. She has been the events manager for numerous national netball tournaments held in Rotorua. Mrs. Thompson drove the establishment of Saturday netball games in Rotorua in 1980. Mrs. Mary Thompson, please come forward. Mrs. Kayla Whitelock of Palmerston North for services to hockey. Kayla Whitelock played for the Black Sticks women's hockey team from 2003 to 2016, amassing 255 caps. She was New Zealand Women's Hockey Player of the Year 4 times. She represented New Zealand at 4 Olympic Games and 3 Commonwealth Games, winning silver and bronze Commonwealth Games medals. She competed at the 2010 Women's Hockey World Cup and was captain for the 2014 Women's Hockey World Cup. She captained the Black Sticks at 2 Olympic Games. She won 2 Champions Challenge gold medals and played for Central in the Ford National Hockey League. Mrs. Whitelock dedicates significant voluntary time to the hockey community, especially young female players. Mrs. Kayla Whitelock, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the Queen's Service Medal, Mrs. Ella Buchanan Hannafy of Lower Hutt for services to music. Ella Buchanan Hannafy has been musical director of St. Peter and Paul Church for 25 of the past 40 years, and organist and advisor throughout this time. She was musical director of Art Splash. She directs the Awa Kairangi Youth Choir and the Chiltern St. James School Seraphim and Icy Red choirs. Seraphim has toured internationally, hosted overseas choirs, performed with the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra, and sung at Anzac services and international rugby tests. Mrs. Buchanan Hannafy's choral compositions are performed by her choirs and others, and won Best New Zealand Art Song at the 2009 Big Sing. Mrs. Ella Buchanan Hannafy, please come forward. Mr. Andrew John of Picton for services to conservation and education. Andrew John is a trained secondary teacher and volunteers as an educator for the Kaipupu Wildlife Sanctuary. He leads a weekly program with Picton School and coordinates visits to the sanctuary by many schools in the region. The sanctuary won the 2019 Community Innovation Award at the Cawthron Marlborough Environmental Awards, and his work has contributed significantly to this. He initiated the replanting of Waikawa Stream and Para Swamp by Queen Charlotte College students. Mr. John chairs the Marlborough Forest and Bird Society and is involved with Birding New Zealand, Sound Fish, and the Marlborough Marine Futures Forums. Mr. Andrew John, please come forward. Mr. Trevor Mcglinchey of Christchurch for services to Māori and the community. Trevor Mcglinchey is the Executive Officer of the New Zealand Council of Christian Social Services. He was a member of the Welfare Expert Advisory Group in 2018 and was on the reference groups for the Green and White Papers for Vulnerable Children. He founded the Te Mahi o Waitaki Trust in Oamaru, a kaupapa Māori trust that developed and operated social enterprises and community initiatives. He is chair of Mauraki Limited, a marae-based charitable trust, and was chair of Te Ana Whakairo Limited, a social enterprise based on Māori tourism. Mr. Mcglinchey is a Ngā Tangata microfinance trustee. Trevor Mcglinchey, please come forward. Mr. Terry Roche of Wellington for services to the community. Mr. Terry Roche has been a member of the Tawa Lions Club for 44 years and served as President and Deputy District Governor. He has volunteered for the Kapiti Mana Police for 25 years. He is a Senator and Treasurer of New Zealand JCI Senators Incorporated, a JC alumni group. He is a member of St. Christopher's Church in Tawa and has volunteered at Redwood School, most recently working with students struggling with reading. He is a member of Tawa Indoor Bowls and former club captain and president. Mr. Roche is treasurer of the Tawa Midweek Table Tennis Club. Mr. Terry Roche, please come forward. Your Excellency, the investiture is concluded.
Our honours system is our nation's highest public affirmation of outstanding individual achievement. It reinforces values and behaviours that sustain our communities and help our nation thrive and prosper. And these include service, courage, manaakitanga, and the pursuit of knowledge and excellence. By using their talents to make ours a better society, whether by service to their communities, or by their leadership in diverse fields of endeavour, or their commitment to excellence in their own area of expertise, our recipients have set a fine example to others. To the recipients, it's been a privilege to hear your stories today. In your own way, you've demonstrated determination, commitment, and compassion in your daily lives, and each of you has helped make Aotearoa New Zealand a better place to live. In some cases, your influence and the positive impact of your work has extended beyond our shores. Your actions and the stories we've heard call to mind the words of the late US Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg when she said, "If you want to be a true professional, you will do something outside yourself, something to repair the tears in our community, something to make life a little better for people less fortunate than you." That's what I think a meaningful life is, living not for oneself, but for one's community. On behalf of all New Zealanders, I thank you for all you have done to support our communities and our nation, whether by dedicating your lives to the public good, achieving distinction in your chosen field, or inspiring others with your leadership. Please wear your insignia with pride, knowing that your contributions are recognised and valued, and others are inspired by your example. Thank you, everyone. That almost brings to a close the official part of today's ceremony. But before we break for refreshments, would you all stand and join me in singing our national anthem?